theyeshiva.net.
Let's remember our discussion. We're going to need again the Chumashim, the same page like yesterday, which is Vayikra, Yud Aleph, Leviticus chapter 11, Parshas Shmini, page 314. So just open it, we'll get there in a moment. So we learned that Reb Yossi and Reb Shimon hold that Tumas Mashkin is min haTorah, meaning liquid can become impure biblically, and it can also transfer the impurity to other foods when the liquid touches those foods. That's what Reb Shimon and Reb Yossi taught us. And the Gemarah said Reb Yossi was really continuing and expounding the shitta of his Rebbe. His Rebbe was Rabbi Akiva. And Rabbi Yossi is one of the 5 students with which Rabbi Akiva brings back. He creates the renaissance of Torah. And Rabbi Yossi is following the shitta of Rabbi Akiva. What did Rabbi Akiva say? Rabbi Akiva quoted the Pasuk in Parshas Shmini where we speak about the earthenware vessel, the earthenware pot, for example, the earthenware utensil, where a dead sheretz ultimately fell into. And as a result of that, it fell into the interior space of the earthenware vessel. And we learned that that vessel becomes tameh. You have to break it. If you want to cleanse it, you have to break it. And kol asher b'soicha yitma, whatever is in its interior space also becomes tameh. In other words, even that which doesn't touch the surface of the keli, it just goes into the interior space of the klei cheres, becomes tameh. And then the pasuk qualifies, pasuk lamed daled. What do I mean? What is inside becomes tameh? Not anything. Anything that is food, all food that is eaten will become tameh if it became wet before. And any drink that can be drunk in any vessel will also become tameh again if it goes into the interior space of the klei cheres, which has become tameh through the sheretz which fell into it. And Rabbi Akiva said something very interesting, that even though it says yitma, but because the Torah doesn't say tameh, the Torah says yitma, it can also be pronounced as yitameh, which means not only does the food become tameh, but the food also could transfer tumah. Yitameh, the food can also transfer tumah. And because the food can transfer tumah, Rabbi Akiva learns that sheni oisa shlishi, that if you have a kikar, you have a loaf of bread or any other food that was wet before, and it became tameh, it can now transfer tumah to a shlishi. So if it touches, say, a liquid, right, that liquid will become a shlishi. Rabbi Akiva holds that's true even with chulin, even if it's a mundane cup of wine, and the kikar falls into the cup of wine becomes a shlishi. Lahalacha, we say that's only true when it's truma and karbanos. We'll learn about that later. But Rabbi Akiva taught us this idea that yitma could be explained also as yitame, and that's why it's not said with a yud. Okay. Well, the kikar is a sheni, right? Because the kikar touched the keli. The keli came in contact with the sheretz, so the sheretz is an av, the keli is a rishon, the kikar, the loaf of bread, is a sheni. So Rabbi Akiva says that the sheni oise shlishi. That's what we learned, right? Okay, we're going to elaborate on that later, but that was Rabbi Akiva told us that sheni oisa shlishi, and he holds that that's even true b'chulin. That's true even when it comes to chulin. That's what Rabbi Akiva taught. When did he teach this? We know when. It was Boi Bayom, was that great day when Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah became the Nasi of the Sanhedrin, and he opened the doors of the Beis HaMedrash. Comes Rabbi Yossi, and he says, okay, we got our cue from Rabbi Akiva. What's our cue from Rabbi Akiva? When it says by oichel yitma, it means yitame. So when it says by mashke yitma, it means yitame. That the liquid that only becomes tameh, the liquid can give tumah. And that's why Rabbi Yossi says that when mashke becomes tameh and it touches oichel, that oichel becomes tameh. And since that oichel becomes tameh min haTorah, therefore, if it's a suffix, Rabbi Yossi said, Sveika deiraisa l'chumra, and you assume that the oichel is tameh. This is what Reish Lakish taught us, that Rabbi Yossi was basically following the teaching and the shitta of Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva said Yitma means Yitame on Oichlin. So Rabbi Yossi said Yitma means Yitame on Mashkin. That Mashkin not only becomes Tame, Mashkin can also transfer Tumah biblically. Says the Gemarah weiter, analyzing now the words of Rabbi Yossi. The explanation that we just explained in Rabbi Yossi is now going to be analyzed. Yud Ches Amud Aleph, in middle of the page, the line starts, Shlishi B'chulin. We're holding by the words of Vahacha Heiche Darish. Vahacha Heiche Darish. Here, when it comes to liquid Heiche Darish, how is Rabbi Yossi expounding the Pasuk to teach that liquid brings Tumah only to food? Rabbi Yossi says it doesn't bring Tumah to liquid, and it doesn't bring Tumah to Kalim. In fact, he argued on Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda initially in the Bryce, later the Gemarah said Rabbi Yehuda retracted, but initially Rabbi Yehuda said that mashka could be metame even Kalim. Rabbi Yehuda held initially, that's what we thought, that a Keli could be a Sheni min HaTorah because mashka transfers Tumah to Kalim. In fact, there was a powerful source in the Pasuk, because if you look in the Pasuk it says, V'chol mashka asher yishasa b'chol kli yitma. All liquid that is drunk in any vessel, yitma will become tameh from this keli. But it also says b'chol kli yitma. And if you learn yitma as yitame, because it can be pronounced as yitame, so you can easily say the Pasuk is also saying b'chol kli yitame. Any mashka that is in any keli will be metame that keli. That's what Rabbi Yehuda said. Rabbi Yossi rejects that. He says mashka will never transfer tumah to kalim, and they will not transfer tumah to other mashkin. He only speaks about oichel. You see, it's a very interesting way of learning it. B'chol kli yitma, yitma yitame, right? Any mashkin, any kli yitame. It's metame the keli. Rabbi Yossi does not say that. The only thing that will become tameh from mashkin min HaTorah is oichel, food, not liquid, and not kalim, because Rabbi Yossi clearly says when you have a suffix on oichlim, if it became tummy from mashkin, you say it's tummy because it's a sveika d'oraisa. What if you have a suffix on kalim? What if you have a suffix on mashkin? You don't say tummy because it's only midirabanan. Mashkin will be metama mashkin midirabanan. Mashkin will be metama kalim midirabanan, but not min HaTorah. So v'hacha heiche darish. Why does Rabbi Yossi build it this way to say that from this pasuk yitame doesn't mean everything? Yitame means only other foods. Mashka can only be metame foods min HaTorah, but nothing else. Not kalim, not a person, of course. Kalim and a person go together, and not any other liquid. Says the Gemarah, because it says v'chol mashka asher yishasa b'chol kli yitma. Any mashka that's going to be drunk in any keli will become tameh from the clay cheres where a sheretz fell into. And we learned yitma can also be pronounced as yitame. L'tameh tumas oichlin. To teach me that a mashka can transfer tumah to oichlin. Ata oimel l'tameh tumas oichlin oy eine ela l'tameh tumas mashkin. Maybe it means that it's going to be metame mashkin. How do you know oichlin? It says yitma yitame. How do you know it's oichlin, maybe mashka? Amart loy kachaya. We have to say that that's not the case. Rabbi Yossi says that's not a possibility. Amrit means you got to say loy kachaya. It's not the case. This is not tenable. This is not a workable interpretation of the pasuk. My loy kachaya, asks the Gemarah, why not? It's just loy kachaya. It's not pshat in the pasuk. Maybe it is. Amar of Papa loy matzinu tumah sha'oisa kayotzeba. We do not find biblically a tumah that can transfer itself to something that is similar to it. In other words, to replicate its tumah in something that is kayotzeba. Kayotzeba means something similar to it. The Gemarah is going to explain later on Amud Beis that we don't find biblically a tumah that can be transferred to something that is just like the original. It has to be a different type of min, a different type of category. Oichel is not metame oichel. Mashka is not metame mashka. Why would we say that? Why would we say that ein tumah oisa kayotzeba? Tumah does not generate tumah in something similar. Food is tummy. Let other food become tummy if it touches it. Mashka, no. Food goes to mashka, and mashka goes to food. That's a very fascinating halacha. You would think food is tummy. It makes other food tummy. No. It will not go to Tumah Kayotze Ba. The Gemarah is going to explain on Yud Ches Amud Beis what's the reason for this. Rashi already tells us. Rashi says, if you take a look in Rashi, Loi Matzinu Tumah Sha'isa Kayotze Ba. It's in the wide lines of Rashi, third of the wide lines. Kedamrina Lekama, the Gemarah is going to say, the Lahachi Karina Yitma, Lemeimar Duhu Tamei Vein Isa Kayotze Ba. Very interesting. The Pasuk says Yitma. It could have said Tamei. Because it says Yitma, we also try to say, maybe we have to look at Yitame. But here's a bigger question. Why doesn't the Torah say Yitame? Just say Yitame. Yitame would kill all the birds with one stone. Any Eichel is Yitame. That means it's Tameh and it brings. If you give Tumah to other people, to other things, means you're Tameh. You don't give Tumah if you're not Tameh. We're not going to say you give Tumah, but you're not Tameh. That's strange. Just say Yitame. It doesn't say Yitame. It says Yitma. It could be pronounced Yitame. So we have here a paradox. It could have said Tame. If it would have said Tame, what would it mean? It's Tame. It says Yitma. Because it says Yitma, we say, why is there an extra Yud? Because the Torah wants you to know that theoretically, you could have read it Yitame, even though you're not supposed to read it Yitame, you're supposed to read it Yitma. But it doesn't say Tameh. So if it would have said Tameh, we'd say it's Tameh on its own. If it would have said Yitame, we would say it transfers to others. Now we're left stuck. We're like in limbo. It says Yitma, which means it becomes Tameh, but it could have said Yitma without a Yud, which would have been clear, Tameh. It says Yitma, which can also be pronounced as Yitame, but it's not pronounced as Yitame. It's pronounced as Yitma. So what's the text trying to tell us? The text is trying to tell us you can transfer Tumah, but in a very limited way. You see that? I'm not telling you Yitame. If I would say Yitame, it means, whoa, you just give out Tumah, and that's not going to happen. I'm not saying Tameh, because if it would say Tameh, it means the Tumah stops by you. The buck stops here, doesn't go further. Not the buck, the Tumah stops here, doesn't go further. I'm putting something in the middle. I'm telling you Yitma, which means you get Tameh. Not others get Tameh, but you could pronounce it Yitame. And I put in that extra Yud because I want you to know about that theoretical alternative pronunciation. So what do I do now? If you are trying to interpret this text, what do you do with this? So from here, the Chazal said that there's a big limit here. What's the limit? There's a miyut. The miyut is that you cannot transfer Tumah to that same item that we're discussing. That's the idea. Eichel could be metame, yitame, but yitma. When it comes to Eichel itself, only yitma. When it comes to mashka, yitame. When it comes to mashka, yitame. Now we don't have another alternative because remember, only 4 things could become Tameh, right? We'd spoken in our early introductory show. There's only 4 things that could get Tameh in the world. A person, utensils. Utensils include bowls, cups, cutlery, but it also includes clothes, anything that we use, implementals that we use in our life. And then there's food and drinks. That's it. Those are the only 4 things that can become Tameh. There are the exceptions, the leper's home, the bayis hamenuga, the home of a leper. Okay, but that's a different, completely discussion. And the begadim, the begadim of a mitzayra. But besides that, there's only 4 things. So if Yitma tells me the Tumah is not being transferred, what is it not being transferred to? So the Chazal said it's not being transferred to Eichel. Because since it's talking about Eichel in the pasuk, so we say Mikala Eichel. The Eichel Yitma, the Eichel becomes Tameh. What is it, Metame? It's Metame something else, Mashka. And what's the Mashka Yitma? The Mashka is not Metame itself, because it says not Metame other Mashka, it's Metame other Eichel. That's why when Rabbi Yossi has to learn Yitma, Yitame, what does he say? The Mashka is Metame Eichel. The Mashka is not Metame Mashka. That's what we mean. Loi kachaya, loi matzinu tumah sha'oisa kayotze ba. That's Midirabonon. Midirabonon, mashkin is metame mashka, and Eichel is metame Eichel. That's not a question. Midairaisa, it's not. Rabbi Yossi is talking Dairaisa. Tumas mashkin Dairaisa will become Tameh, the mashka. It will transfer Tumah to Eichlin, Midairaisa, but not to other mashkin. Why? Because we have a klal loy matzinu tumah she'oiseh kayotze ba. Biblically, tumah will not generate tumah in something that's similar to the source of tumah. No, that's what I said. That on Amid Beis, the Gemarah is going to show it. I just told you what it was. Tameh, yitma, yitame. It says yitma, not yitame. There's also another source for it. The Gemarah is going to explain. And Tosfos actually says that it's a second source that the Gemarah means here. And that's a source that we already learned in Daf Yudaled Amid Aleph. I'll just tell it to you now, even though we're going to see it soon in the Gemarah. Take a look in Pasuk Lamed Zayin. Very important pasuk. V'chiyipol minivlasam, page 315. V'chiyipol minivlasam al kol zera zeirua sheyizareya ta'irhu. If the nevela of the dead sheretz is going to fall on any seed, it remains tar. Why? Because the seed never got wet. V'chiyutan mayim al zera. But if the seed got wet, you placed water on the seed after it was detached. Because every seed gets wet. It has to have rain. But after it got harvested, it gets wet. V'nafal min nivlasam alav, and the corpse, the meat of a dead sheretz, falls on the food. What's the halacha? Tamei hu lachem. It is tamei for you. Here we have the source that a sheretz fell directly on a piece of food. I have a seed, or I have an apple, or I have a challah, whatever it is, and the sheretz falls in and it got wet earlier, even though it's dry now, so it was already susceptible for tumah. Remember, every food has to get wet with one of the 7 beverages, right? In order for it to be susceptible. That's why it says, Yutan mayim al zera, tamei hu lachem. What's the superfluous word in this pasuk? Okay, before even lachem, hu, tamei, it's tamei. We didn't say before we say yitma or tamei. Here it's tamei hu. What does hu mean? It's tamei. He's tamei, and not his copy. If he touches other oichel, doesn't get tamei. Tamei hu. He's tamei. He's tamei. Right? But 1 second. Could have just said tamei. Tamei means he's tamei. So we learn from here, tamei hu. He is tamei. In other words, not stam tamei. He is tamei, but you're limiting it. You're limiting the tumah, but you're not limiting it completely. You're not just saying it's tamei and it doesn't transfer tumah. You're saying he is tamei. So this teaches me that another oichel like him won't be tamei. Mashka will become tamei from the food. That's a second source. Very interesting. Tamei who? He is tamei. In other words, anything like him is not tamei. It could have just said tamei. Tamei means you're tamei. That's the Chazal's terminology. It's the word tamei apostle is a Chazal terminology to distinguish. Or you could say, I'm not sure about this, or you could say that maybe taka when it says tamei, you could say it does transfer, because tamei is not apostle, right? So you know, but it says who. Who means stop, what? Tamei, yeah, but who? Only he. Right? So we have here again the polarity. Before it could have said tamei, but it says yitma. So we say yitma means yitame. That's why I'm saying it could be that tamei actually means it's just tamei on its own, and it doesn't transfer. Even if you want to say tamei could mean it transfers, but you have a tamei hu, which is always a miyat, it's a diminishment. So that's the second limud, that oichel cannot transfer tumah to oichel. Yes. Even if the water is dry, it's already mekabel tumah. If you don't know, you don't know. It's a suffix. Yeah. No. If you didn't make it wet, it's fine. Yeah. If it was once wet, even though now it's dry, and I have knowledge, and it was with my consent, it's mekabel tumah. Yeah.
So it's great that there is a second pasuk, because from the first pasuk, it will not come out, because you can learn only one thing. You don't need to learn 2 things from the word itmo itama. Itmo itama, you just learn for transferring others. But to have this exclusion from oichel to oichel or mashka to mashka, you cannot learn the second thing from them. So the fact that there is a second pasuk, then you can do it. Now it's this miyut of the second pasuk of now you can say that Matzinu Tumah Shos
Yeah. If you look in Tosfos, lo matzinu tumah isa kayotze b'zeh, he says, Pirush HaKuntris, and actually says, Kedarshinon lekamon, Yitma she'ein tumah isa kayotze ba. On Amid Beis, Yitches Amid Beis, the Gemarah is going to say, Yitma means that you cannot generate tumah, but it also means Yitame, we just said. So we learn from here that some things Yitame, some things not Yitame. Yitma in terms of kayotzeba, Yitame in terms of not kayotzeba. That which is like you, Yitma, you don't transfer. That which is not like you, Yitame. V'isfarim the loigar sin on the kaman. But there are texts of Gemarah that this source, which Rashi brings here, is not even in the Gemarah on Amid Beis. Besides, v'loshen loy matzinu loy mashma kain, the mashma the me'alma nafkalon me'mashmos. When Rav Papa says loy matzinu, we don't find, it doesn't sound like that he's learning it from this very pasuk. It sounds like we don't find from some other source. Therefore, the source is tamehu. That's what Rav Papa meant. Unlike Rashi, who brings another source, which Tosfos says some cloud don't have a gersa. Right? So Rashi says, why loy matzinu? Rashi says it's from this pasuk. It says Yitma, not Yitame. Could have said Yitame. Yitma is only this is Tame, but it also could read Yitame, at least theoretically. So we have this polarity. So Rashi says Yitma in terms of Eichel and Yitame in terms of Mashke. Tosfos says no, he's actually referring to the second limud that Ein Eichel Matame Eichel, which is from Tamei Hu Lachem, which is only a few Pesukim later. From Pasuk Lamed Dal, you go to Pasuk Lamed Ches, and that's the source Ein Eichel Matame Eichel. And therefore, we also say Ein Mashke Matame Mashke, and therefore Reb Shimon and Reb Yossi say when Mashke gets Tamei, it's Matame Eichel and not other Mashke. The Maila, of course, in Rashi is that you have a direct source that Ein Mashke Matame Mashke. According to Tosfos, you learn it out from the fact that Ein Eichel Matame Eichel, and you compare Mashke to the same thing that it doesn't generate. That's the Maila in the Limud of Rashi. Okay, very nice. Ravina says, I'll tell you another reason why Rabbi Yossi did not want to believe that Mashke transfers to Mashke. Migufei dekra namile matzis amrit. Yitma letame tumas mashke. Even if you look at the pasuk itself, gufei dekra means the guf of the pasuk. The pasuk itself, you cannot say that yitma means that the mashke can be metame other mashke. That if mashke is tame, it makes other mashke tame. In other words, even if you don't want to use the limud that we learned before of Rav Papa, that Tumah cannot make hayotzeba, which Rashi said comes from the fact that it's pronounced yitma. And yitma means I'm excluding something. Only it's tameh and not something else. Even if you don't want to do that, you want to say, you know what, yitma can be pronounced as yitame, and therefore it's, I would say that it can transfer tumah to everything else, even mashke. I have another proof from the Etzem Pasuk that when it says mashke is yitma, yitame, it only goes to oichel. So Ravina is telling us, even if you don't want to embrace the previous statement and limud of yitma yitame, and you want to say the yitame gives you free reign, there is still a reason to say that mashke should not be metame mashke. Why? So he does an analysis. The sol kedai toch yitma de sefer letame tumas mashke. If you want to say that the yitma at the end of the pasuk, what's the yitma at the end of the pasuk? The end of pasuk lamed dalet. V'chol mashka sheyeshasa b'chol kli yitma. That yitma at the end of the pasuk means that it's metame tumas mashkin, meaning it mashka that's impure will be metame other liquids, other mashka. That's what you want to say. Remember, yitma dereisha nami letame tumas mashkin. The first yitma in the pasuk, mikol ha'oichel asher yachal asher avel of mayim yitma, also means that the oichel transfers tumah to mashkin. Like the Gemarah is going to explain, and I just quoted it, that when it says by oichel it's metame, yitma yitame, it means that oichel could be metame mashkin, and not other oichel. We just explained because it says tamehu. Remember? What does tamehu teach me? Tamehu teaches me that what? That only the oichel is tamei, tamehu, but not other oichel. Other oichel will not become tamei, right? I'm not going to say. So let's say tamei means it itself is tameh. Right?
He's trying to learn from the same pasuk without the.
No. But that's a klal that we're going to learn that ein oichel matame oichel. How do we know ein oichel matame oichel? Because it's going to say tamehu. The Gemarah is going to say on Amid Beis. Tamehu is going to teach me the zera is tame. It is tame. He's tame. What do you mean he's tame? You could have just said tame. It means he and nobody else. Who's the nobody else? Another seed won't be tame. Ein oichel matame oichel. That will not be tame. That's what we just explained. The Gemarah is going to say that soon on Amid Beis, right? So that means. Wait one moment. It'll become clear. Wait one moment. Now, let's say it wouldn't say who. Let's say it would just say Tumah. How would you say Pshat? What was Pshat in the Pasuk? If we would just say Tumah. The Zera is Tumah. So you could say it's just Tumah and it doesn't transfer it at all. That's one way you could say. But then it's a why say Tumah who? Tumah means it doesn't transfer at all. It's Tumah. If it just said Tameh, you might say, okay, it doesn't transfer. But it doesn't say that. It says Tamehu. So Tamehu means what? It's Tameh. In other words, you're trying to diminish something. You're trying to diminish something. What are you trying to diminish? You're trying to diminish that the Eichel can't transfer Tumah to other Eichel. In other words, anything like this will not be Tameh. Only who Tameh. Mashka will become Tameh, but this won't become Tameh. Or, as I said, another way of learning it is that Tumah means it does transfer Tumah, but the who stops it, right? The who stops it. Okay. Here it says, Eichel Yitma. We're learning Yitma means Yitame. Yitma means Yitame. But what type of Yitame? You can't say Yitame means Eichel, because Eichel is not Metame Eichel. How do I know Eichel is not Metame Eichel? Because it says Tameh Hu, right? Tameh Hu. And by the way, here is a third dimension why you have to say Ein Oichel Matame Oichel from Tameyu. Because since it says Yitame by Oichel, so that means Oichel does transfer Tumah. So Tameyu means it doesn't transfer, it's Tameh. So you have to make some distinction. So what's the distinction we make? That it doesn't transfer Tumah to Oichel. So when it says by Oichel in the beginning of the pasuk Yitma Yitame, it means Mashke. Yitma Dereisha Nami L'Tame Tumas Mashke. If that's the case, we have here an interesting situation. Understand, we're trying to explain why Rabbi Yossi would not say that mashka is metame mashka. So Ravina tells us, let's say Yitma means that it is metame mashka, okay? The reisha of Yitma is also metame mashka, because Eichel is not metame Eichel. So both Yitmas means the same thing. Mix it together. Write it together. Mikala oichel asher yachel asher yavi alav mayim v'chol mashka asher yishasa b'chol kli yitma. Trei yitma lamali. Why do you need two yitmas? One for oichel and one for mashka. Ella, you have to say yitma dereisha l'tamei tumas mashkin. Yitma deseifel l'tamei tumas oichel. The first yitma is for tumas mashkin. The second yitma is for tumas oichel. You understood? You understand? That's good for the Kra. This is Ravina's explanation in the Shit of Rabbi Yosef. It's a maskana. It's a maskana. In other words, even if you want to reject what we said before, Yitma, Yitame, Yitma means Yitame can transfer Tumah to everything. Why then don't you say that when liquid gets Tameh, other liquid can get Tameh? So I'll tell you, look at the structure of the pasuk. Structure of the pasuk is any food in the klei cheres is yitma. Any mashke in the klei cheres is yitma. We're explaining yitma means it transfers. It gets tumah and it transfers tumah. Right? You want to say that what does it transfer tumah to? Transfers tumah to liquids. Liquids to liquids. That's your theoretical question. Why Rabbi Yossi doesn't say that? He says, fine, I'm with you. But remember, your first yitma also goes on liquid. Your first yitma also goes on liquid, because what is food metame? When food is tame, it can't be metame other food, it goes to liquid. So that means the two yitmas are talking about the same thing, liquid. So why don't you just put it together? Make one sentence. Why do you have these two complicated There's two awkward sentences. Why do you need two separate yitmas? Just say, all the food and all the drinks become tummy. Isn't that a just much better sentence? Think about it if you would say it in English. You have a keli that's tummy. All the food and all the beverages in this keli is tummy. Nice, no? No. All the food that's in the keli is tummy, and all the beverages are tummy. Why are you doing this? You're saying exactly the same thing. Oh, I'll tell you why. Because it's actually two separate halachas. The first one is yitma, it's tummy, the food is tummy, and it can transfer tumah to liquid. Because remember, yitma can also be pronounced as yitame. Any oichel that's in the klei cheres becomes tameh and transfers tumah to liquids. Any drink that's in the keli becomes tameh and transfers tumah to what? To food, not to liquids. But if you'd say that the second yitma means to liquids, it's exactly like the first yitma. Wouldn't it be much geschmacker and nicer and eloquent to combine the two sentences into one? All the food and all the drinks in this keli become tameh and transfer tumah. To what? To liquids.
You don't need tamehu then.
The tamehu teaches me that ein oichel metame oichel. Once I know ein oichel metame oichel, so the first yitma in this pasuk must be mashke. Once the first pasuk is mash, the first yitma is mashke. If the second one would also mean mashke, the pasuk would be written in a very awkward fashion. Put in one yitma and combine the two together. You're saying exactly the same thing. You're saying food gets tameh and transfers tumah to liquid. Liquid gets tameh and transfers tumah to liquid. So what do you need two yitmas? Why do you need two yitmas? That's why Ravina says, Rabbi Yossi said, I'll tell you why. The first yitma and the second yitma are two separate halachas, two separate genres. The first yitma says that the food that goes into the klei cheres becomes tameh and transfers tumah to liquid. If you would put only one yitma, it would be completely confusing because the halacha of Eichel differs from the halacha of mashke. Eichel transfers tumah biblically to mashke. Mashke transfers tumah biblically to Eichel. They don't transfer tumah to their own type. So we need two yitmas. It's a different yitma. This is a yitma yitame mashke, and the second yitma is a yitma that's metame Eichel. That's why Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Shimon said mashke is metame Eichel, but not Torah. It's not metame mashke. Verstehst? That's me good for the kra. From the structure of the pasuk itself, I know it. Rav Papa said, I don't know it from the structure of the pasuk. I know it because I have a limud, that yitma means it becomes tameh, doesn't transfer. So now I have to figure out what doesn't it transfer. So the Chazal say, probably it transfers to oichel, not to mashke. Or like Tosfos says, tamehu. Ravina says, from the structure of the pasuk itself, you understand that it's two separate yitmos. I'm sorry, what did you say?
So the tamehu is teaching that food cannot become the tameh food. And then we bring that back to the pasuk that we're learning about, and then the kiddush that we're learning from that pasuk is that liquids cannot become liquids. Because we already know that foods can't become foods from the tamehu. So from the going back to the pasuk, then the new thing we're learning from the pasuk is that liquids can't become liquids.
Tamehu teaches me that ein oichel metame oichel. Yeah. How exactly you know it from tamehu? Because tamehu means it's tameh. He's tameh. It's not going further. Right? Now you could say tamehu means it doesn't go further at all. Tamehu, that's it. Right? You could say that, right? So that's why I explained three ways that I think the Gemarah doesn't say that. Why? Number one, because we're learning here yitma yitame. That means oichel does go further. So you can't have two pesukim contradicting each other. So I have to make a limit. So I say tamehu doesn't go further to oichel. One way of learning. Another way of learning is, it could have just said tameh. Tameh means it doesn't go further. It says tamehu means sometimes it does go further. Right? That's why you're adding hu, but you're limiting it. What are you limiting it? To other oichel. Or if you want to say that Tumah means it continues the Tumah, third option, Tumah means it continues the Tumah, fine, it continues the Tumah, but who means it stops. Where do I stop it? I stop it by Eichel. Eichel ain't Eichel Matame Eichel. That's a given. So when I come here to Yitma by Eichel, I have to say it's only Mashke, it's not Eichel. Granted, right? When it comes to the second Yitma, therefore I'm not going to say it's Mashke, because if it's Mashke, it's just like the first Yitma. Put it together. Why make a separate Yitma? But if you say it's two separate dinim, then it's very geschmack. The Yitma of Eichel is not the Yitma of Mashke. You know why? They're both Tameh, but they transfer different types of Tumas. Eichel transfers Tumah to liquid. Mashke transfers Tumah to Eichel. So if you have one Yitma, you're completely confusing the halachas. Because one Yitma would mean it's the same, but it's not true. If I put food near food, the other food doesn't get tameh. If I put liquid near food, it does get tameh. On the other hand, if I put liquid near liquid, it doesn't get tameh. If I put food near liquid, it does get tameh. That's the two yitmas. Now you might want to argue with me and say, no, you still need two yitmas. Because Eichel is only metame mashke, right? Eichel is only metame mashke. And maybe mashke is metame mashke and Eichel. Maybe do both. So you need two yitmas. Why does Rabbi Yossi say it's only metame Eichel? Maybe it's metame both, and that's what is a separate yitma. Right? Rabbi Yossi doesn't say that. He says it's only metame Eichel, not metame mashke. So you're saying, how do I know? I know because he has a separate yitma. Maybe it's metame both, and that's why he needs a separate yitma. Eichel is metame only mashke, and mashke is metame Eichel, and maybe mashke also. I'm not telling you it should only be metame mashke. If it's only be metame mashke, then you would say you need one yitma. But I'm saying it's metame both. Oh, so Tosfos says even that you would be able to know with one yitma. Why would you know with one yitma? Because what would be the problem? It would still be the same halacha. Because Eichel is metame mashke, mashke is metame Eichel and mashke. You'll say, but Eichel is not metame Eichel, but that we already know from Tamehu. So that I'm taking care of. I'm taking care of the Tamehu, that I'm not going to think that Eichel is metame Eichel. So why do you need twice Yitma? The second time Yitma has to teach me a new word, that Mashke is not Metame Mashke, that there's something in Mashke that is different than Eichel. I'll call ponim, what are we left with? We're left with a clarity why Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Shimon hold that Mashke will not transfer Tumah to other Mashke, only to other Eichel. Either like Rav Papa said, either Ravina said. Now we come to the final question. Where did Kalim get off the hook here? How did Kalim get off the hook?
That was from the first pasuk.
The pasuk told me before that Kalim will not become tummy from Kalim. Only food and drinks will become tummy from Kalim. That I got. A Kali won't be tummy from another Kali. Got it. Because it says that when a clay cheres becomes tameh, the food and the drinks that enter into its interior become tameh. Why food and drinks? Kalim too. The answer is not kalim. Granted. But now I ask a question. The food and drinks that became tameh, and the Torah says yitma, which we're learning is yitame. So even if Eichel is not metame Eichel, only mashke, and mashke is not metame mashke, only Eichel. Granted. But why can't mashke be metame kalim? The kli itself will not be metame another keli, but I'm asking something else. The liquid that touched the kli, why doesn't that liquid yitame? Why did you exclude kalim from the parsha? Kalim, Rabbi Shimon said, will never become tamei midaraisa from mashke. Not from Eichel, not from mashke. Why not? Ve'emel l'tamei es hakelim. No, I understand. The Eichel becomes tummy from the clay cheres. The mashke becomes tummy from the clay cheres. A keli won't become tummy from another keli. I got that. A keli will not become tummy from the clay cheres. But if you say yitame, and yitame means it transfers tumah, So you had to diminish Eichel from Eichel because it says Tamehu. Or because it says Yitma. Fine. You diminished Mashke from Mashke. That Mashke is not Metame Mashke. You diminished it. As we said, Yitma, Yitame, fine. Or like Ravina said from the structure of the Pasuk, that it says Yitma second time, it means it has a different halacha than Eichel. Eichel is Metame Mashke, Mashke is not Metame Mashke, fine. But now I have a new question.
It says before Keli, so that Keli is irrelevant.
What?
It says Mashke Asher Yishta.
Chol Mashke Sheyishasa B'chol Kli. Any Mashke that you drink in any Keli.
In any Keli, Tumah, it's irrelevant.
Yeah, but if you say Yitma is Yitame, so it should be Metame the Keli also, especially it says B'chol Kli Yitma. That was the Rai of Rabbi Yehuda, B'chol Kli Yitame. Huh? Tame who?
No, that's the
That's on Eichel, that it's not Metame other Eichel. But it's Metame Mashke, so it should be Metame Kalim also. First of all, here we're talking about Mashke, not Eichel. So the Gemarah says, V'lav kal v'chaymer. It's a simple kal v'chaymer. What's the kal v'chaymer? Ma keli shemetame mashke and metame keli. Mashke naboyen machmas kli einay din shlo yitamu as hakelim. Very nice kal v'chaymer. The son comes from the father. So you want the son, whose entire tumah comes from his father, to have tumah that his father doesn't have? Where did this mashke come from? From a keli. Madach, the keli that brought tumah to the mashke can't be metama another keli. The mashke, that the whole tumah of the mashke came from that keli. You want that the offspring should have a power that the progenitor didn't have. The keli, that's the father of this tumah. The keli touched the sheretz. The keli is a rishon. The keli transfers tumah to the liquid. That keli, which is the source of the tumah of the liquid. How did the liquid become tameh? Through going into the keli. That keli couldn't be metame another keli. So even the keli, which is the source of the tumas masha, can't be metame another keli that goes into its ear space. If you put in a fork into the ear space, into the interior space of the klei cheres, nothing happens. Why? It can't generate tumah to a keli. So now mashkin haboyin machmas keli. The mashka that became tummy from the keli, doesn't it make sense that it shouldn't have the power to be metama the keli? Why? Because the tumas mashka comes from where? From the tumas akli. So you want that the mashka should have a tumah in it that's more powerful than the source from where it got its tumah. The source from where it got its tumah keli can't bring tumah to another keli. And you want now the mashka to bring tumah to another keli? That wouldn't make sense. That's the kal v'chaymer the Gemarah is saying. Yeah. No, the food touches the keli. The keli touched the sheretz. The food could now transfer tumah to liquid. Or the liquid gets tummy from the keli. The keli got tummy from the sheretz. The liquid could transfer tumah to food. Yeah. But can the liquid transfer tumah to a keli? No. Why? Yitame? Why? The answer is, you want that the liquid should have a koyach tumah that's more potent than its own source of tumah. Where I got my tumah is the keli. That's how I got it. He can't transfer tumah to the keli, but I could. That what? No. The keli could be metame both. No. Wait. The keli. Let's do the props. This is our klei cheres, right? Our poor dead mouse fell in, or the poor cup actually. The dead mouse fell into the klei cheres. This guy is tameh, right? Minat is tameh. It's called a rishon, yeah? Any food or drinks that come in contact with him are tameh. So this keli has a koyach to give tumah to Eichel, to give tumah to mashke. The Eichel and the mashke have part of that koyach. The Eichel has a koyach to transfer to Mashke. The Mashke has a koyach to transfer to Eichel. But the Keli had both. But the Keli did not have a koyach to give it to another Keli. The Eichel and the Mashke that come from that Keli are not going to have a koyach to give it to another Keli. Verstehst? You're right. Mashke is not matame mashke, but it could be matame oichel. But the keli is matame both. The mashke and the oichel will not have something that the keli doesn't have. The keli transfer tumah to oichel and mashke. The oichel and mashke can transfer tumah respectively, either to mashke or to oichel. That's fine. It's like the Y chromosome and the If what? A sheret touches oichel. Oh, good question. Good question. Good question. You're saying, but if the sheretz touches Eichel, then the Eichel should be Metame Keli, right? Because the sheretz could. Good question. How do I know it's a good question? Because the Gemarah asks it. That was good thinking. Now you just challenged the Kal V'chomer. Kal V'chomer is based on the fact that the child can't have more. If all my money came from you, I can't have more money than you. Unless I invest it. But I didn't invest it. It just... even stronger. You just made the Kal V'chomer stronger. Excellent. Now you added in the Kal V'chomer. Not only... Yeah. So we'll get to that in a moment, to die in a moment. But now you just strengthen the Kal V'chomer. We already have a very good Kal V'chomer, but there's one more point to say. Not just that the mashke got its whole tumah from the keli. It's even a lower degree of tumah. The keli is a rishon. The mashke is a sheni. And that's going to be halachically very important. The tumah got weakened. It's not just, it's what I have is from you. What I have is from you and less than you. So now you want me to be more than you? Doesn't make sense. That's the Kal V'chomer. In other words, if the chamur doesn't have the power, the kal doesn't have the power. If the keli can't transfer tumah to keli, the oichel, the mashke can't transfer tumah to keli. But, as the Gemarah, okay, ve'eim kiloi metamu mashkin aboyen machmas kli, aval mashkin aboyen machmas sheretz, hachenami din metamu. Very good. I agree with you. Liquid that became tummy from a kli can't be metame another kli. But liquid that came in contact with a sheretz, that liquid is a rishon. That should be metame a kli. Nonetheless, we have a principle that a keli will not become tummy from oichel and mashkin. Or to put it in halachic terminology, a keli will never be a sheni. Never. I understand Mekeli will not be a shlishi. If the oichel, the mashke, touches the kli, which is a rishon, and sheni doesn't bring it to the keli. Got it. But here you have a different principle. The sheretz could be metame a keli. Why can the mashke that touched the sheretz be metame a keli? Why was that excluded? So you'll say, liquid can't transfer, but we see liquid could transfer tumah. Varayat says yitma yitame, only to other foods. Why not to kalim? Because it comes from a keli, can be stronger than a keli. Okay, but here it doesn't come from a keli.
If liquid is coming from the sheretz,
yeah.
How does it metame to oichel if it's now a lower degree?
It is metame oichel.
But it's a lower degree. How could it do more? Oichel is not metame oichel, right? So how could then the mashke? You could say the same thing.
No, what? The mashke touched a sheretz. Right. A sheretz could be metame anything. Oichel and mashke. Now the mashke has the power of the sheretz, it has tumah, and it could transfer that tumah to some degree.
Even though it's lower down?
It's maybe lower down. But sheretz has everything. Yeah. You're not giving the mashke more koyach than the sheretz, but give it the koyach of the sheretz, or a little less, but why are you excluding kalim? So the Gemarah says something fascinating. Mashkin haboyin machmas sheretz miksivi? You could look through the whole chumash. You will never find anywhere a halacha that when sheretz touches liquid, the liquid becomes tameh. There's no such halacha. We learned in Pasuk Lamed Ches about food. When sheretz falls on a seed, the seed is tameh. Tamehu. We never have a pasuk anywhere that a sheretz comes in contact with liquid, it gets tameh. So how do we know it gets tameh? The answer is Vilav Mikal V'chomer Ka'asi. we have a kal v'chomer. Ma mashkin aboyin machmas kli mitamin. Mashkin aboyin machmas sheretz lekol sheken. We have a pashta kal v'chomer. If a sheretz touches a keli, and the mashke falls into that keli, the mashke is tamei. For sure, if the sheretz falls into the mashke, it's a great kal v'chomer, indisputable kal v'chomer, right? You don't need a pasuk that if a sheretz falls in, if a dead mouse falls into my wine, the wine is tummy. Madach, if the wine falls into a keli that once had a sheretz 2 years ago, didn't go to the mikveh, it wasn't broken. A sheretz was 2 years ago in my earthenware potter, and now wine goes into it, the wine becomes tummy because it's touching a keli that once touched a sheretz. For sure, if the sheretz falls into the wine, it's tummy. So that's how we know the tumah of mashke machmas sheretz. If that's the case, dayoy leba min hadin liyos kinidayin. It is sufficient that the halacha that is derived from a source should not be stronger than the source. It should be as powerful as the source. In other words, how do I know that mashke that touches a sheretz is tamei? From the halacha that mashke that touches a keli that touched a sheretz is tamei. So I cannot add to the derived law a halacha that doesn't exist in the source. And since in the source law we know that it's not metame kelim, why is the mashke not metame kelim? A kal v'chomer madach the keli is not metame keli. For sure the mashke is not metame keli. I derive from that a new halacha. I can't add a new dimension to it that doesn't exist in the nidoin. Dayoy leba min hadin. Ba min adin means that which I learned min adin from the kal v'chomer, liyos kinidoin, to be like the nidoin, the source from where I learned it. To understand this concept of daya, let me give a very imperfect metaphor. An imperfect metaphor. If I see somebody in the gym and he picked up weights that were 100 pounds, right? I could make a kal v'chomer. If he could pick up 100 pounds, for sure he could pick up weights that are 50 pounds. That's a simple kal v'chomer, even though I didn't see it. But it's obvious. If he could do the chamur, he could do the kal. If he could do the heavy weights, he could do the light weights, right? But now I want to say something else. He can pick up weights 50 pounds, and he can, while he's holding those weights 50 pounds, he can do 50 push-ups. You say, why? You saw him do 50 push-ups when he was holding the 100? No, I never saw. But since it's only 50, he could do 50 push-ups. No. That you can't say. That's not logical. You could say if he could lift up 100 pounds, he could lift up 50 pounds. That you could say. Because 50 pounds is easier than 100. But to say he could lift up 50 pounds and he could do 50 push-ups, how do you know that? If he would be able to do 100 pounds and 50 push-ups, then he could do 50 pounds and 50 push-ups, right? Now, maybe you're right, because it's only 50 pounds, but you have to prove it. Yeah. You can't make the din greater than the nidain. You can't say 50 pounds with 50 push-ups. You're pushing it now. Pun intended. You're really pushing it. Don't try it. You get it? Maybe you're right. 50 pounds, maybe he could. But you have to prove it. You can't make a kal v'chomer. You can't prove that by logic. But Mele here too. You could say that if mashke that went into a keli that once got tummy from a sheretz, if that mashke is tummy for sure, if mashke comes direct contact with a sheretz, it's tummy. I got no issue with that. That's a good kal v'chomer. But you can't say, and mashke that comes in contact with a sheretz could be metame other kelim. You could do your 50 push-ups too. Well, where'd you get that from? Maybe not. You can't create such a chiddush in halacha. You learned it from a case of mashke touching a keli which touched a sheretz. In that case, the mashke is not metame kelim. How do I know? I had a very good kal v'chomer. Madach the keli can't be metame keli. For sure, the mashke can't be metame keli. So you're saying, yeah, but here the mashke is touching the sheretz. Okay, but you learned it a kal v'chomer from that. Dayoy leba min adin liyos kinidoin. When you come from the din, it's enough if you're like the nidoin. You cannot have a new halacha that your own source doesn't have. So it's a good kal v'chomer, and that's why Rabbi Yossi is right for saying mashke that's tamei cannot be metame kelim. I'm sorry. It could be metame oichel, It can't be metame mashkin because ain't tumah oise kayotzeba, like Rav Papa said, or like Ravina learned it out from the two yitmas in the pasuk. But kalim are excluded. There's no tumas kalim, and that's why mashka will not be metame kalim, even though asher yishasa b'chol kli yitma yitame, you could say b'chol kli yitame, because we have this kal v'chaymer which excludes it. So the Gemarah says one last stickle here that we have to now bavar in Rabbi Akiva. We discussed Rabbi Yossi. Now we want to finish Rabbi Akiva's discussion. Yitma dereisha hechadarish. What about Rabbi Akiva? He was the source of all this. He's the one who gave us the interpretation of the first yitma, right? Mikala oichel asher yachel asher yavei alav mayim yitma. That oichel is metame, and Rabbi Akiva taught us that oichel, which is a sheni, could make a shlishi. Yeah. Hechidarish. Rabbi Akiva said Mikala oichel asher yachel asher yavei alav mayim yitma. And Yitma could be expounded as though it said Yitame, L'tame es hamashkin. Rabbi Akiva taught us that Oichel could be Metame mashkin. To'ima L'tame es hamashkin, Einoi ela L'tame es hakeli. We're now going to Rabbi Akiva. Why didn't Rabbi Akiva believe that Oichel could be Metame akeli? Not mashkin, Oichel could be Metame akeli. The Gemarah does not ask. Rabbi Akiva should have said Eichel is metame Eichel. And the reason is because we learned that ein Tumah oise kayotzeba. Tumah can't replicate itself with something that's similar. And the Gemara is soon going to explain the source that we already went through. Tamehu lachem, only the food is tameh. This food, not other food. Fine. I'm not asking on that. But the Gemara is asking the question, why shouldn't Eichel be able to be metame kelim? Why shouldn't Eichel be able to be metame kelim? Now, you would think the Gemarah would just do the same kal v'chaymer that we just did. The beautiful kal v'chaymer we just did with liquid, do with oichel, right? Madach. Do that kal v'chaymer, right? Madach, the keli can't be metame keli. So the oichel, which got tummy from the keli, can't be metame keli. Right? Okay? That's what the Gemarah should do. If I was the Gemarah, that's what I would do now. The Gemarah doesn't do that. Why? Because here we say, okay, we go to your question. Okay, oichel that touched keli can't be metame keli. Got it. What about oichel that touched the sheretz? Oichel that should be metame keli. And here I can't give the answer that I gave by mashke. By mashke, I said that there's no pasuk for mashke that touches sheretz. Mashke that touches the sheretz, you learn from a kal v'chaymer from mashke that touched the keli. But there is a pasuk for sheretz that touches oichel. We just learned the pasuk lamed daled v'chiyutan ma'im al zera v'nafal min evlasam alav tamehu lachem. Ooh, I don't need that from a kal v'chaymer. Mashke that touches sheretz, I learned from a kal v'chaymer. From mashke that touches a keli that touches a sheretz. But oichel that touches a sheretz, I have a direct pasuk for it. If I have a direct pasuk for it, you don't say dayoy lebamin adin liyois kinidoin. It's not bamin adin. It's an explicit pasuk that oichel that touches a sheretz becomes tamei. That oichel should be metame kelim, and we don't say that. That's why the Gemarah astoundingly completely ignores what it just did with mashke. And it goes completely on a different course. It's as strange as it gets. Why the Gemarah doesn't just revert to the previous limud? Because the Gemarah knew that this is going to end up with checkmate. You understand? And when you end up with checkmate, you don't start the game. You choose a different game. Don't play the game. It's going to end up with checkmate. You see what I did? Because oichel does become tamei from a sheretz in a clear pasuk, Parshas Shmini, Perek, Yud, Aleph, pasuk lamed, Zayin, pasuk lamed ches, pasuk lamed ches. Clear pasuk. And therefore, you would say Eichel is metame kelim at some point, but we don't. We don't say Eichel is metame kelim. So the Gemarah, what's the word? Circumvents this complexity by just introducing right away the ultimate answer, which is also going to be discussed, but this answer will solve the problem. And what's the answer? The Gemarah says, Amrit kal v'chaymer. It's a kal v'chaymer, but a different kal v'chaymer. What's the kal v'chaymer? Kal v'chaymer is ma mashke. Ma mashke. Shemetame oichel eine metame keli. Oichel she'ein metame oichel, ein edin shalayit mekeli. Liquid can transfer tumah to food, but it can't transfer tumah to a keli, as we learned. We just learned from the Kal V'Chaimer and the Dayai that liquid can't transfer tumah to a keli. 1 second. But it could transfer tumah to food. Oichel she'ein metame oichel, ein edin shalayit keli. Food doesn't have the power of liquid. Food cannot make other food tamei min ha-Torah. Ein tumah oisek hayotzeba. Certainly, it can't be metame a keli. Oh, so you're saying, say exactly the same thing, the opposite. Food is much more powerful than liquid because liquid can't be metame liquid, and food could be metame liquid. So you could just do the same thing opposite. Now, you're saying that mashke is a bigger tumah than oichel. Varaya, mashke could transfer to oichel. Oichel can transfer to oichel. So if mashke could transfer to oichel, and it still can't transfer to kalim, for sure, oichel, which can't transfer to oichel, can't transfer to kalim. Got it. But now you're saying the exact opposite. Say oichel is much more serious than mashke. Varaya, mashke can't affect mashke. Oichel can affect mashke. So maybe oichel can affect kalim also, right? That's an excellent question that the Gemarah is going to address in one moment. In 1 moment. Just hold on 1 moment because the Gemarah is going to address that. Why this Kal V'Chaimer is a good. But let's see the Kal V'Chaimer. Let's assume we understand that mashke is a greater tumah than oichel. And that's why it can transfer to oichel, even though oichel can't transfer to oichel. If that's the case, I say mashke is more powerful in terms of tumah, and yet it doesn't affect the keli. If a mashke that's tummy falls into keli, the keli is tar, biblically. So oichel for sure it won't be metame keli. Hamani mekayim yitma. So Rabbi Akiva says, so when it says yitma yitame, what does it mean? It doesn't mean other oichel. It doesn't mean kalim. What does it mean? L'tame es hamashkin. It only means mashkin shehein alulun lekabel tumah. Because mashke is susceptible to be makabel tumah. The Gemara is going to explain what that means. Frag the Gemarah, my area mashke mishum da alulun lekabel tumah, typically mishum da lakamid achrina. Why does Rabbi Akiva have to give a whole pilpul? Why does it mean mashke? Because mashke is susceptible to be makabel tumah. Just say because you have nothing else. There's nothing else you could say. Yitame can't go on oichel because ain't oichel matame oichel. Can't go on kalim because ain't oichel matame kalim Kal V'Chaimer for mashke. So there's only one thing left. If it can't be matame kalim, can't be matame adam. Adam is like kalim. Can't be matame other oichel. What else is there left in the world? Only mashke. So you should have said, you have to say, so what does he have to give this whole svara, shehein alulin lekabel tumah, that they're susceptible to makabel tumah? What does it even mean it's susceptible to makabel tumah? Why does it come in here? In other words, Rabbi Akiva is saying, I basically X'd off every option. Yitame can't be oichlin. Yitame can't be kalim. Yitame can't be adam. I'm stuck. So what do? I do mashke. Yitame can be mashke. No, but he gives a reason. Shein alulum lekabel tumah. So the Gemarah says, no, you have to understand what he meant. Hachi ka'amar. This is the pshat. And how here it comes to full circle. V'chi temi, you might want to say, your question. Oichel chamor. Oichel is more stringent than mashke. The metame mashken. It could be metame mashken. Mashke can't be metame mashke. So oichel is more chamor. B'meila netami lekeli. So the oichel can be metame keli, even though mashke can't. You gave me a very nice Kal V'Chaimer, but it's inaccurate. Sorry, it's flawed. You said mashke is more serious than oichel. V'araya. Mashke is metame oichel. Oichel is not metame oichel. Okay, let me do exact opposite. Oichel is more serious than mashke. You know why? Mashke is not metame mashke. Oichel is metame mashke. So you're back to square one. So oichel is not better than, is not more lenient than mashke. It's as powerful or more powerful. Each one has its own mile. So maybe oichel is metame kelim. Well, what's the big deal? Oichel is not weaker than mashke. Oichel is more chumra than mashke. No, hahu chumra than mashke. That's why I told you that yitma means mashke, not kelim, because the dirasha that yitma is metame mashke, not kelim, is not because the chumra of oichel. It's because chumra the mashkin. It's the stringency of liquid. Mishum the mashkin alulun lekabel tumah. Liquid is susceptible to tumah. What do we mean? Umahi ali lasan. What's pshat that it makes it susceptible to tumah? She mekablin tumah shaloi behechsher. Mashke is the only thing that can be makabel tumah without being prepared, without being muksher. You don't have to do anything to the mashke for it to be makabel tumah. Doesn't need to be wet. Doesn't need to become wet in order to become tameh, because it's a liquid. Yeah.
It's already wet.
There is a chira. There's a chira. If pshat is that it doesn't have the din of hechsher. The whole halacha wasn't said by mashke, or the halacha was said, but it's wet. It's already muksher. It's muksher be'etzem. It's wet because it touches itself. Huh? Oh. Oichel is makabel tumah only if it was huksher because it got wet. B'meila, when we say oichel metame mashkin, it's not pshat oichel metame mashkin because of the chumrah of oichel. It's because of the chumrah of mashke. B'meila mashke remains more stringent than oichel. So you can make a kal v'chomer. If mashke is not metame kelim, oichel is also not metame kelim. In other words, we wanted to say, mashke is not more chomer than oichel. Mashke can be metame oichel. Oichel can be metame oichel. Okay, but oichel can be metame mashke. Mashke can, no. Oichel can be metame mashke because of the chumrah of mashke. Yeah. It's because it's mashke. The oichel needs the mashke to transfer tumah. Oichel can't do the job. On its own, it can't do the job. Mashke is metame oichel, which is not olul for tumah. Oichel is much more resistant to tumah. It's tumah proof. It's tumah proof. But mashke gets to it if it's muksher. Yeah. Oichel is metame mashke, not metame oichel. Mashke is metame oichel. What do you mean? But oichel is metame mashke. Mashke is not metame mashke. It's true. Mashke is not metame mashke. That's true. Ein achanami. But oichel is metame mashke because of the chumrah of mashke. There's something in mashke that does it. Not because oichel is more chamor. It's actually because mashke is more chamor. And mashke gets the tumah from the oichel. So oichel is not metame oichel. Mashke is metame oichel. And mashke is not metame mashke taka, but oichel metame mashke because of the chumrah of mashke. So that's why he added those words. Shein alulin lekabel tumah, and that's why they become tameh from oichel. Not because oichel is more chamor. Hence, oichel is less chamor. Mashke is more chamor. And nonetheless, mashke can't be metame kelim. If mashke can't be metame kelim, we say, for sure, oichel can't be metame kelim. That's why Rabbi Akiva said, yitma yitame is what? Is tumas mashke. Oichel can't be metame other oichel, can't be metame kelim, it can't be metame begodim, can't be metame adam. What is oichel metame? It's metame an inyan of mashke. Let's just see Rashi. So therefore, Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Yossi maintained their position about how oichel and mashke transfers tumah, oichel to other mashke, and mashke to other oichel, and not conversely, and both say not to kelim. Take a look in Rashi, right? The third Rashi at Chesed Beis, mashke shemetame oichel. Mashke is metame oichel, right? And it's not metame keli. Kedamoran la'el, einoi metame keli. Mashke can be metame keli. Kedamoran oichel, like we explained. So oichel she'ein metame oichel, the ein tuma oise kayotze ba einoi din. If mashke, which is more chamor, can't be metame kelim, like we explained before from the Kal V'chomer. So for sure, oichel, which is not metame oichel, and therefore it's more lenient than mashke, for sure can't be metame kelim. Now Rashi goes into what I said before, why the Gemarah doesn't do what we did earlier with mashke. The Gemarah really could have replied easier with a kal v'chaimer that we did by mashke. What did we do? The Gemarah could have so said this. Ma keli shematame is oichel azeini matame keli oichel shabamachmas keli yitame keli. Madach the keli, which is the source of the tumas oichel, is not matame another keli. You want the oichel that's coming from the keli to be more powerful than the keli? That was a beautiful kal v'chaimer. We just did it by mashke. Rashi says no. Elamishum dahader mitzterich le'lemeime kedila el. Because then the Gemarah would have to ask the next question. What's the follow-up question? Ve'ema hana mili oichel abba machmas kli. Aval oichel abba machmas sheretz letame kli. That's only oichel that came to be tummy through the keli, but oichel that came to be tummy through the sheretz should be mitama kelim. That's going to be the next question. And remember the follow-up answer, you're going to get stuck, because by mashka you could say there's no posik for mashka ba machmas sheretz. It's a kal v'chomer. Dayoyle ba min adin liyas kenidin. But by oichel you have an explicit posik that the sheretz falls on it, it becomes tamei, and there's no reason it shouldn't be mitama kelim. Tamei who is matame only mamayit oichel of oichel, but not oichel of kelim. B'meila, because of all this, v'nichale lemilaf memashka. So it's much better for the Gemarah to go straight to the point and derive the fact that oichel can be matame kelim from liquid. Do kimne behu, because by liquid we learned the loishna nagu b'sheretz loishna nitmu min hakeli loy matamu keli. By mashka we learned that no difference if it got tummy from a sheretz or it got tummy from a keli, it's not going to be matame keli. Once we established that mashka is more chomer than oichel, and by mashka we learned that it doesn't matame kelim, not if it touched the keli and got tummy, or touched the sheretz and it got tummy. So now I make a kal v'chayma and say for sure oichel can't be matame kelim. So it's a fascinating thing what happens here. For oichel, you have a direct pasuk that if a sheretz falls on it, it becomes tamei. For mashke, you don't have a direct pasuk. The whole way you know it by mashke is from a kal v'chaymer of mashke from a keli. Because you know it that way, you get trapped by dayoy lebam min adin liyas kenidin, and dayoy causes a trap and says, sorry, no mashke could ever be metame kelim, even if it touched the sheretz. You're stuck. The tumah stops. Granted. Once that happens, and I establish that oichel is inferior to kelim, oichel is inferior to mashka in terms of tumah potency, I say, whoa, regardless, if mashka can't be metame kelim, however I got there, but I got there. I cannot get to oichel that way. I'm going to get stuck by oichel. But by mashka, I got there, right? I got there by mashka. If so, I say, oichel has the same exact halacha. That what? That it also can't be metame kelim. Kal v'chomer memashke. The Baran, you good? Das is chachmei law. You need to bathe in it. Like a mikveh, you have to go into it.
Every time you go through it, it gets clearer and clearer.
Always. It's a very complex puzzle. But every piece, everything has its piece. A keli could give to a keli. A keli could give to a keli if the keli is an avatumah. Yeah. If a keli touches you have even a keli could be a via voisa tumah, right? If a sword touches a mace, it becomes mamish like mace. It's a via voisa tumah. And that will give tumah to another keli. That's not a problem. Keli metame keli. Here keli is not metame keli, because remember, this keli is a rishon. This keli is not an av. This keli is a rishon. If you would have a keli that's an av hatuma or a keli that's a via voice hatuma, it would be metame kelim. It's not like oichel where you say ein oichel metame oichel, ein mashke metame mashke.
Oichel could be a av hatuma. Mashke and oichel could be a av hatuma if it touches a via.
If that's a good question. If oichel and mashke are usually not called an avatuma, but if they touch the mace, they're considered an avatuma, according to Rashi.
So then they could travel mashke to mashke or oichel?
No.
So if mashke,
no, they can't.
If mashke touches oichel, make a rishon, then could the oichel touch the mashke? Could get a sheni in the toilet?
Oichel and mashke cannot be an avatuma. What do I mean it can't be an avatuma? It's never metame adam and kelim. Oichel and mashke. Minat Torah, oichel and mashke will never affect a person or a keli. That means I can touch every oichel tummy in the world. I can touch every mashke tummy in the world on the highest level. I will not become tummy. I'm talking biblically, rabbinically, right? If I eat oichel tummy, I become a sheni. Okay? Rabbinically. If I drink mashke tmei and I become a sheni. If I'm a kohen, If I'm a kohen, it becomes a big problem because if I touch truma, I passel it. But biblically, if I touch oichlin and mashke, nothing happens. If oichlin and mashke tummy goes into a keli, nothing ever happens. In that sense, oichlin and mashke cannot be an avatuma because they will never transfer tumah to an adam and a keli. However, Rashi explains earlier in the Gemarah on Daf Yud Zayin Amud Aleph that if oichlin and mashke touch the mace, if you put a piece of bread on a mace, right? That oichel, is it an avatuma or not? If it touches a keli, nothing happens. So in that sense, it's not an avatuma. However, if it touches mashke, that mashke will be a rishon. So it's an av legabi, those things that it can transfer tumah to. That's what Rashi holds on Daf Yud Zayin Amud Aleph based on the Gemarah there. Others argue, but that's a shittim. And then this mashke touches oichel, the oichel's a sheni. You're right. Everything went up a notch.
So how this oichel that can be tumah from this oichel could get tumah from the same kasha than before? The oichel couldn't be tumah from the oichel. Got it touch mashke, now it could get tumah? How are you?
You're asking a general interesting question. Oichel is matame mashke. Yeah? And now mashke is matame oichel. So what do you make? Make a kal v'chomer. How can the mashke transfer tumah to oichel?
The oichel can't do it.
Yeah, the oichel can't get tumah from oichel.
That's what I meant before too, but I was talking with the showers. The showers can do for everything.
Right. That's what you meant.
Yeah.
How can the mashke give something that its source couldn't give it? Right? Huh? No, he's saying...
If mashke touches oichel, the oichel the mashke.
And he said mashke touches oichel, and oichel touches mashke. So you're saying the original mashke couldn't be metame. So how does the oichel? Do you have an answer?
Well, we have the pasuk, but the pasuk doesn't do anything.
He's asking if this kal v'chomer is a real kal v'chomer, right? So do it consistently. Say that if oichel gets tameh, or mashke gets tameh, right? So this oichel we say is metame mashke, and the mashke will be metame oichel. But he says, how can the mashke be metame oichel? The mashke became tameh from the oichel. So how can it have the power that the oichel doesn't have? The same kal v'chomer we made for mashke and keli, says, what do we make for the oichel and mashke? We do the same thing. Stop it right there. Say oichel is metame mashke, great. That mashke can't be metame other oichel. That's what you're asking. You also still have to understand in this Gemarah, if mashke is so much more chomer than oichel, and the only reason, that oichel can be metame mashke is because mashke really brings it out. It's not the credit of the oichel, but mashke is not metame mashke. So something is wrong here. Oichel is metame mashke. Somehow mashke brings it out from the oichel, but not from the mashke. It's a little strange, right? The mashke is so powerful that it brings out the tumah from the oichel, right? Oichel can't bring out tumah from oichel. Oichel is tumah, it has this proof. What is it called? Tumah resistant. But mashke is much more open, and mashke transfers to itself the tumah, but not to other mashke. That's also an interesting thing,
so powerful.
Which is why the Gemarah initially thought that mashke is not more chomer than oichel. Mashke has a mile, it's metame oichel. Yeah? And oichel has a mile, it's metame mashke, and mashke is not metame mashke, and oichel is not metame oichel. The Gemara says, no. Oichel is metame mashke, not because oichel can be metame mashke. It can't. Oichel is nothing. Oichel is very cheap tumah, very little tumah. Very schwach. Mashke can be metame oichel because mashke is powerful. Oichel can be metame mashke because mashke is so susceptible to tumah. Because mashke's immune system to tumah is very weak, so to speak. But that not mashke to mashke. No, Rabbi Avram, we need some mathematical. It's clear, no? In physics, it's clear, yeah?
See this year, because it's talking about unifying the physical and the spiritual. But we're getting to the point here in Tumah and Tahara where it's getting a little fuzzy.
By the way, that sounded very interesting. Said a very interesting talk that which talked about possibility of the body to experience.
Okay.
The Rapapa, the one that's in Rapapa,
A minute,
does exist. So the Kali's an avatumah could be metam.
If a keli is an avatum, it's matame a keli. Yeah.
It does exist. The one that's seen is not for everything.
No, loy matzinu tuma kayotzeba means something edible. Tuma edible. Yeah, you have to put in the word edible. Loy matzinu tuma kayotzeba means something that's edible. Just like a person is matame another person. I touch the mace and I touch a person, he's tame. Right? Yeah. A keli that's an avatuma, yeah, touches another keli. The keli is tame, no question. Eichel and mashke have a special halacha.
Can't do it to its own kind. Right.
Which is the answer to his question. Which I think is the answer to your question. Because keli is metame keli. Eichel is never metame eichel. Even if it's an avatuma, even if it touches a mace. The hest. Keli is metame keli. A keli can metame a keli theoretically if it's an avatuma. It's not regular that a keli will be an avatuma. I mean, if it touches a mace, it could even be a viavoisatuma. It's not regular a keli should be an avatuma. It's not a normal thing. A keli touches a sheretz, it's a rishon. But if a keli would be an avatuma, it's metame keli. The fact that this clay cheres is not metame kelim is why? If a keli can be metame keli, why? Because it's a weak tumah. Because it's a tumah sheretz that went into the keli. So the keli is only a rishon. You understand? The tumah is upgeschwacht in the keli. The tumah became weaker in the keli. And that's why it can't be metame another keli. It's not that be'etzem a keli can't be metame a keli. It could. Here, the keli is not metame a keli because it's a weaker tumah. So if madach the keli, which is a weaker tumah, can't be metame the keli, you want that the mashke that came in contact with that keli should be able to be metame keli. It doesn't make sense. That's the kal v'chomer. In your case, that kal v'chomer doesn't apply. Oichel is never metame oichel. Mashke is never metame mashke. It doesn't have to do it doesn't have to do with the weakness of the tumah. It's not because it went down a level. Verstehst? You're telling me, how can the mashke be metame me when the guy who gave the mashke tumah couldn't be metame me? Yeah. Okay, so what do you want to say? You want to say the mashke, why not? Why not? Because its source can't, yeah? But why can't its source? Atazai. Not because it's a weak tumah. Not because it's a weak tumah. Because ain't tumah is a kayotzeba. Tumah goes to einay minay, doesn't go to minay. Huh?
I can't get tumah for this.
You can't because kayotze boy. I'm not a kayotze boy. You understand what I'm saying? Huh? The oichel won't get from the oichel. The mashke will get from the oichel. So it's a din that ain't oichel metame oichel. It's not the word that the tumah is a shvache tumah, and now you want that the weaker one should have more power. No, he doesn't have more power. He has equal power. Or diminished power. But, there's a din, but here it's a different word. Here it's not a din of ain't keli metame keli. Keli is not metame keli. Eichel could be metame keli. No, keli is metame keli. So why here not? Oh, because it went really, really down. Tumah is very weak. Sheretz, keli. Oh, such a tumah can't transfer. It doesn't have a koyach. Now you want that the mashke that came from that should have that koyach. Verstehst? Another word.
There it goes down, and by Eichel, it's just the Metzius. It's not able to.
Yeah. Eichel can't transfer tumah to Eichel. Yeah, Eichel is bulletproof from tumah from other Eichel. That's it. Mashke is not. So the mashke is now the mashke is tameh. Eichel is not bulletproof for mashke. Taka the mashke is the next level. The Eichel was rishon. The mashke was sheni. The sheni makes a shlishi. Fine. Mashke could be Matame Eichel. It wasn't that the first Eichel didn't have a Koyach HaTumah. It did have a Koyach HaTumah.
It's not to itself.
Not to itself. Ain't Tumah, Isa Kayetze Bo. Your brother got what? Celiac, yeah. Any gluten, yeah. And he's not allowed to eat gluten, what? No, it's called blia. It's called blia. It's called blia. So this is what the doctor told him. That he can't make gluten-free food in a pot where they, like a spoon that touch gluten, he can't use that spoon. Yeah. Because today we know, I mean, this is a Yisaid in Halacha, right? A lot of Hilchas Kashrus revolves around this. Parshas Matas. What's Hilchas Agala? Hilchas Agala is the idea that the flavor of food gets absorbed in the Daphnis HaKeli, in the walls of the Keli, and you have to emit it. You have to spit it out. And if you don't, if I cook meat in a milchik Keli, even though the Keli is clean, the chalav or the meat is going to get spit out from the dfanos, from the interior of the walls of the keli, and my meat is going to become milchiks, or my milchik is going to become fleishiks. And if there's not enough bittel, if there's not an amount, a ratio to be at mavatal, it's actually going to make the food treif. So this is a... Huh? Huh? No. So they told his brother that he cannot make something that's gluten-free in a pot that was used for gluten. I don't know if they have the halacha of bas yoimai, but fine. Also within 24 hours. Maybe over there, Nois and Tam Lebgam is... No, the blia is a very serious thing.
Peanut allergies, the same thing.
Huh?
Someone has
You have a newer pot and you have an older pot and you cook, it's going to be different taste.
There's a mighty dikavot from the Chidush Harim. Chidush Harim says that if you look in Parshas Matos, it says like this: they went to Milchama with Midian, and they came back with all the booty, and they gave Nadavas contributions. The Torah speaks about the fact that Moshe and Elazar told the Jews all the halachas of kashrus then. To clean out the kelim. If it's tamei meis, you have to do paraduma and mikveh. But besides that, you have to do kol davar sheyavei beish, taviru beish, hilchas hagala. All the halachas of kashering vessels from today come from Midian. After all that comes a story that the generals came to Moshe and they told him that they want to bring a carbon. They want to bring a carbon. And they brought a carbon. It says, what was the carbon? It says, nobody died in war. And nobody died or nobody sinned in the war. Remember that the Jews sinned with B'nai Midian. But now they saw the B'nai Midian and they remained pure. But there were thoughts that they had. They didn't do anything, but the thoughts, so they wanted to bring a carbon for that. Judaism says, why is this at the end of the whole story, this should have been right after the war, and then comes the halachas of kashrings. This comes at the end of the story, right before Mikneh Rav. So he says, they thought that Hurei Aveira is nothing. If you did a sin, you did a sin. But if you had a thought inside of you, say that. But when they heard Hilchas Hagala, what's Hilchas Hagala? That even if there's no visible evil, even if there's no visible treif, it's absorbed. It's absorbed in the Tfanas HaKeli. It's going to come out. It's going to come out. If it's inside, it's going to come out. So therefore they realized that we should be a carbon for Ruri Aveda. What's inside is going to come out. The Pnimius affects ultimately the Chitzonius. All the donations, yeah. All the gold that they donated. L'chaper al nafshesech. Okay. Eichel kamim tamay eichel midiraisa. There's no clear pasuk anywhere that eichel could be matama mashkin. Anywhere. In fact, Reb Meir holds that in Torah, Mashke can't be metame oichel. And Rav holds that mashke is bechlal not tamei min ha-Torah. Extreme. Kol mashke is not talking about mashke, it's talking about oichel. Fine. There's no clear pasuk. We learn yitma. Yitame could have said tamei. It doesn't say tamei, it says yitma. Yitma can be pronounced as yitame. That oichel could be metame. Question is, what can it be metame? I would say other oichel. For that we have a limit, it's not metame oichel. I would say other kalim. We have a limit, it's not metame kalim. What, yeah? It's metame mashka.
So it can be metame oichel, it says
Tamei hu lachem, yeah. By us it's who, by him it's he, yeah.
Can you say that he needs that it could be metame oichel and not mashke?
Oh, you want to say why did the tamei hu? Why they pick an oichel, not mashke? I'll tell you why. It's an excellent question. We're talking about seeds. So it says seed is tamei, not something else is not tamei, right? In other words, this and not this. I say it's like I'll say you can go on the trip. I mean, you're not, right? Remember in camp, you can go on the trip, right? You not, yeah. So who's the you not? We're saying it's not another oichel. Maybe it's not another mashka. Yeah?
It's not mashke at all.
Right, it can't be metame mashka. Maybe only oichel. Yeah. The answer to that is, when you have to exclude something, how do you do it? How do I know what to exclude? Okay? So basically, it's very interesting. I don't know how to explain. It's an interesting idea. We only have the text to work with. We only have the texts. We have to say that it's all in the text. So both the ribui and the miyut is from what the text says. In other words, the Torah is saying that the food is tamei. The Torah is also saying that the food can't transfer tumah to something else. What's that something else? So I say it's the something that's discussed in this pasuk. What's the something that's discussed in this pasuk? Food. Your typhus? Because that's what I have to work with. You know, the pasuk says two things. The food is tamei. It also says the food can't transfer tumah to something else. I don't know what the something else is. I could say liquid. Maybe. You're right. Maybe. I say, look what the pasuk says. The pasuk says, the pasuk is talking about zera, right? Seeds. So I say, that's what becomes tamei, and that's what doesn't become tamei. What means that's what doesn't become tamei? Another seed, another oichel won't become tamei. I use the text that I have. We do it also with yitma. We said yitame means you're matame others. Yitma means yitame yourself. The fact that the Torah doesn't say yitame only yitma teaches me that the oichel is tamei by itself. It's not matame something else, but it says yitame. So what do I choose? What should be included in the yitma and what should be included in the yitame? So I'm using the text. In other words, what's excluded by yitma and what's included by yitame? I don't know. So what do? I do the text. I say, it says, Mikola oichel asher ye'ochel yitma. So I say, the yitma is the oichel. And what does it exclude? What the text says. What does the text say?
You exclude what the Pesukim does not say. What's happening with the Pesukim?
So Yitame, you could also say it should include of itself.
But you're right. So you say Yitame should include oichel, right?
Right, because that's what it's
But Yitame doesn't say. Yitma says. Yitame is a limud of Baal Peh, Teresh Baal Peh. Yitma is the text. So the text sticks to the text. The text excludes itself. Oichel is Yitma. And it excludes what? What I just wrote, Oichel. But it says Yitame. But I learn Yitame. Doesn't say. But I learn Yitame. That includes Mashka. You get it?
Yitma already
Huh?
excluded itself.
Yitma is was state. State. State Oichel. So Yitma is Oichel and it excludes Oichel. Oichel is Tameh and there's something not Tameh. There's something that doesn't get Tameh. Only I get Tameh. What's that something? What it says. Other Oichel. This Oichel is Tameh. Yitame is Torah Shabbal Peh. It's not Torah. It's not what it says. I mean, it's written, but it's not how we pronounce it. So I say it's something else. What's that something else? Outside of the text. Your typhus makes sense?
So then you don't need Tamehu then. Because if Yitma is excluding itself, that means you could only...
How do I know it's a good question, what you're asking? Why you need both sources, Yitma and Tamehu? Because it's the next piece of Gemarah. Why you need both?
According to this.
That's why I always know a question is good. The Gemarah asks it. Now I want you to look in Tosfos. Your question was in Tosfos. Look at the last Tosfos, Daf Yud Chesam at Aleph. The Tosfos begins Uma Keli Shematame Mashkin. You see? Uma Keli Shematame Mashkin. Mamash the last Tosfos. It's on the words that Ma Keli, that Matame Mashka is not Matame Keli. So for sure, Mashka, which comes from Keli, can't be Matame Keli. That's how we know that Mashka is not Matame Keli. Frek Tosfos, take a look inside. Let's see. Let's learn. Vim Toimar. If so, Frek Tosfos, Mashkin haboyin machmas oichel, lo yitamu oichel, mei haikal v'choymer. This is Mamish Yushaila. Mashke that became tummy from Eichel. Let's say a sheret touched Eichel. So the Eichel became a rishon. The Eichel touched water. So the water became a sheni. That water touches bread of Tumah. So the bread becomes a shlishi. Frek Tosfos. I don't understand. You're telling me that ein Eichel matame Eichel min ha-Torah. So why would this bread now become tummy from the mashka? Make a kal v'chaim. Ma the Eichel that's matame the mashka. Doesn't have a kaich to be matame Eichel because ein eisa kayotze boy. So the mashka that comes from that Eichel certainly shouldn't be able to be matame the Eichel. So Tosfos weiter v'chein Eichel abam machmas mashka l'yitame mashka. Same thing fakert. Let's say a sheretz falls into a cup of wine. So the wine becomes a rishon. And then this wine touches a piece of bread. So the Eichel now becomes a sheni. And this Eichel touches a mashka of Tumah. So this mashka becomes a shlishi l'chayda. I don't understand. Say, kal v'chaim, the mashka, which made the Eichel tummy, can't be metame mashka. So the Eichel that comes machmas the mashka should for sure not be able to be metame the mashka. No, this is a good kal v'chaim, and I'll tell you why. The makli shein metame kli mishum kal she'enoi avatuma. The word is madach a keli that came in contact with a sheretz, and that keli can't be metame another keli. You know why? Because it's a tumah kala. It's a lenient, light tumah, because it's not an avatuma. It's not that there's a gzeirus hakosov that a keli can't be metame another keli. No. It's because it's a tumah kala. It's kal. It's not an avatuma. That's why. I'll prove it to you. The kashu avatuma metame keli. When a keli is an avatuma, if a keli itself is a source of a tumah, it could be metame another keli. That's the word. It's not that a keli is not metame a keli. A keli is metame a keli. Here a keli is not metame a keli. Why? Because it's kal. Because it's a light tumah. Because it's a rishon tumah. But mainly you could say a good kal v'chaimer. If the kula of the tumas hakeli causes that it can't be metame another keli. If it would have been a more chumri the ketuma, it would have been metame another keli. Here it's not being metame another keli because it's a light tumah. So the keli is metame mashka. It's not that the keli does. The keli is metame mashka, but the keli is not metame another keli. The mele kol sheken zaktois was kol sheken mashkin haboy machmas keli. The keli tfei. So for sure the mashka, which is a child of tumah from the keli, the mashka's tumah comes from the keli. The keli is a rishon. The mashka is a child. The mashka is a sheni. So the tumah is even more kal. For sure it shouldn't be metame another keli. If the keli can't be at matama, and usually the keli could. It's not like it's a gzeirus hakos of kelim and not matama kelim. Usually the keli could. Here the keli can't. Why? Because the tumah was diminished. The mashke, for sure, can't be matame kelim. The tumah was diminished more. Aval masha'in oichel matame oichel. Vaita toises aval masha'in oichel matame oichel. The fact that oichel is not matame oichel is not because the tumah is kala. Hainu lefi. The ein oisa kayotze boy. It's a whole different word. The reason that ein oichel matame oichel is because ein oisa kayotze boy. Because there's a gzeirus hakosov that tumah cannot be matame. That oichel can be matame other oichel. It's a whole other word. It's not because it's a tumah kala. Even the highest level of oichel. An oichel touches a mace. Right? An oichel touches a mace. It can't be matame other oichel. That's the word. It's a whole different word. It's not because it's a Tumah Kala. Even a Tumah Chamura, the highest level of Tumah. It can't transfer to another Eichel. Eichel is resistant to Tumah that comes from Eichel. But it's not resistant to Tumah that comes from Mashkin. But if Mashka touches Eichel, the Mashka could bring the Tumah to the other Eichel. The source of the Mashka can't be at Metame, so how could the Mashka do it? I don't have a problem. When Mashka is Tameh, it's Metame Eichel. Eichel is not Tumah resistant to Mashka. It's Tumah resistant to Eichel. You're right, the Mashka came from the Eichel. So what? But Mashka can be Metame Eichel. Eichel can't, because there's a din that Eichel can't get Tumah from Eichel. But here there's no such a din by Kalim. So the reason why Keli is not Metame Keli is because the Tumah became weaker. The Tumah became weaker. By Bazay, the Mashka also can't be Metame Keli. So Ktois weiter vim Toimar. Mashkin aboye machmas Keli, shanaga b'meis, minolan deloy metamo Keli. The mekalva chayma de kli loyasi. The Keli shanaga b'meis metame Kli. Metame Keli. Interesting question. Let's say there's a Keli that touches a mace. This Keli is an av hatumah. It touched a mace. So this Keli, it can even be havia voice hatumah, right? So this Keli, if it touches another Keli, the Keli becomes tameh. So let's say Mashka falls into a Keli that touched a mace. That Mashka should be Metame Keli, right? How do you know not? Because you can't learn it out from a Kalvachemer of Keli, that Madach, the Keli is not Metame Keli, the Mashka, because this Keli is Metame a Keli, because a Keli Shanaga b'meis, which is an Avatum, is Metame another Keli. So Mashka that touched this Keli, would touch the mace, should also be Metame another Keli. But we don't have such a din. We say that no Mashka is ever Metame a Keli. And for Toises, Yeshleima, the Haikra, this pasuk that we're talking about, Kol Mashka, Sheyishasa b'chol Kli Yitma, is B'sheretz Ksiv. It's talking about a sheretz. It's talking about a keli that became tummy from a sheretz, and the keli was metame mashka. Aval mashkin shenago bekli shenaga b'meis loiksiv. We don't have a pasuk that deals with mashka that touched the kli that touched the mace. We don't have such a pasuk. So how do we know that such mashka is tummy? We learn it from a kal v'chaymer. Madach mashka that touched the keli that touched the sheretz. So the sheretz is an av. The keli is a rishon, and the mashka is a sheni. And the Torah says in Parshas Shmini it's tummy. So b'meila we have a kal v'chaymer that what? That for sure, a keli that touches a mace with a keli is an avatoma, for sure it could be metame mashkin, which is a rishon l'tumah, right? That's what we understand. Yeah. Madach, a keli that got tummy from a sheretz is metame mashkin, for sure. A keli that got tummy from a mace is for sure metame mashkin. If that's the vart, because we don't have a special pasuk for this, so then we say, daye lebamin hadin liyas kinidin. And just like in the source, and the mashke that became tummy from this keli can't be metame another keli. In other words, because we learn it from that kal v'chaymer. The pasuk says by sheretz, right? So it's a kal v'chaymer from sheretz, and by sheretz, what's the halacha? By sheretz, the halacha is that the keli is not metame another keli, and so no. When a keli touches a mace, so we have a pasuk halal cherev, that it's an Indian of an avatum and it's metame other kelim. Exactly, we have a special pasuk. But the mashke that touches a keli that touches a mace, how do we know that mashke is tameh? That we learn a kal v'chaymer from the mashke of a keli that touches sheret. So you can't add to that din. You can't say, oh, the keli is metame keli, so there's no kal v'chaymer, because how do we know mashke that touches a keli that touches a mace is tameh from a kal v'chaymer of sheret? Daye lebamin adin liyas kinidin. Just like the mashke that touches a keli that touches a sheret can't be metame kelim because of the kal v'chaymer. So b'meila, that which is derived from that law has the same limit, that it can't be metame another keli. That's what Tosfos says. So you're right. The kal v'chaymer is taken out here because a keli that's nitma mimeis could be metame another keli. That's true. But the mucker that mashke becomes tameh from a keli shenitma b'meis is learned from a kal v'chaymer from sheret. So we maintain the halacha of daye lebamin hadin liyos kenidain. That's Tosfos. So this answers your question and this next question.
This class is brought to you by theyeshiva.net. Please help us continue the classes. Make even a small contribution at www.theyeshiva.net/donate.